Hey everyone, so let's dive at a first look at Vexie and the Geargrinders, aka the first boss of this raid, Heroic on the PTR. So as always, let's just tackle the mechanics as they happen, one by one. Just need to say that this boss is actually very intuitive and very simple. Let's actually start with the tank mechanic, because why not? And you see it happen right off the gate here. When we pull the boss did feel a bit undertuned, but it could also be that it's just the first boss. So the tank mechanic, funny enough, is called Tank Buster. Now, Tank Buster basically does damage, knocks you, and makes you take more damage the next Tank Buster you take, so hence why you swap every single one of them. And on top of that, you also leave oil on the floor, aka poop. So as you can see, it drops poop under the boss. It's not very easy to see, I will say that, but there is a massive puddle of poop. Or oil. The tanks get knocked, you do a tank swap, and then you just move the boss. We are being efficient with room because you could run out of room here, but then again you will be able to delete this oil if you do the mechanics correctly. But next on the mechanics we get spew oil on 2 players, which in here you could even stack because it doesn't deal that much damage. We just assume that damage is going to be tuned higher, so you can't stack. But we put them close, or you could even stack, whatever, doesn't matter. As you can see, we did stack them here, and it literally does no damage to them. I will say though, there is a gimmick here that anyone standing in oil will be sleeping around like Senarf, and there will be some choppers that we're gonna have to drive that can't be driven if they are on oil, so we do need to be careful with oil positioning, and we do need to move. So right now we are doing call bikers. We are going to be baiting together as a group, so we stacked to bait all the bikers onto the same place so we can cleave with the boss. And the bikers charge is actually very easy to dodge, as all you have to do is dodge frac lines basically. Once they're all together, they're gonna linger here for a little bit, and we're gonna cleave them with the boss. Meanwhile, there was another overlap here of another mechanic, so let's watch that again. And that mechanic is called Incendiary Fire. So some people will be pulsing fire or pooping fire, and we take those players into the pools, and they burn the oil, and therefore they spawn the oil. And that's how we clean up the room. I think this is actually so fucking cool. I mean, you get to spawn oil to remove space from the room, and then you get to burn it to get that space back. The geek in me is just finding that just super cool. Meanwhile, you are damaging these bikes, and now the bikes are going to become drivable, or you can click into them and then you can charge them at the boss. When you do that, a plating of these 6 stacks, now 5 that the boss has, is going to be removed. And that's how you dictate when you go to intermission. Now I can hear you asking, what happens if we just never play that mechanic? What happens if we straight up just do the fight? Then the boss is gonna go to 100 energy, is gonna basically berserk and kill everyone. So we do need to trigger the intermission before the boss actually gets to 100 energy. So we are spawning more fire in there. The adds came, we actually didn't bite those adds correctly. Whatever, doesn't matter. We burned the fire, we cleaved the adds, and now we get to send those bikes into the boss. You just saw, every time we send a bike to the boss, 1 plate is removed, and then it also does raid-wide damage, which is super healable, by the way. I think the hard part of this fight is actually ensuring that the bikes are never on oil, or else you can't send them to the boss, and then the boss does enrage. But you also get this mechanic to burn the oil so much, or so frequently, that it's very easy. Here we do call to have the fire away from the boss, so we can finish that bike and send it to the boss. But we are actually already in intermission. Now on intermission there's this bullet hell, so swirly spam for us to dodge. The boss takes 100% more damage for 45 seconds, which is amazing. Now if you time that really well, you could make it later, but for us it does seem that it enters at like 140. Which can be a bit awkward for cooldowns, as we kinda want to Bloodlust here. But after that, these adds come. Now, if they do repair, they're essentially removing like our damage jump on the boss by healing the boss, or removing or reducing the damage jump or whatever. Honestly, this is very easy to deal with. Just control them, stun them, stops and kicks, And as you can see, they're very easily controllable. Just get them together, burn them with the boss, Bloodlust, and full nuke the boss. Once that's done, you'll go back to phase 1. And if I put a double speed on this part, because we've seen all mechanics, you'll be able to see the rest of the fight, as we do kill the boss on this clip. But more ads come, we get out of the intermission, they despawn, we don't even have to kill them. Tank Buster drops oil, now we're gonna get some raid players to put some oil behind the boss. We're gonna move the boss slightly ahead, we're gonna bait the bikes into the boss. The people with the fire will burn that oil as we cleave everything. You can do this is a very cool overlap. As we are burning the oil, you can go with new oil on the people who are burning the oil, and that double burns the oil and despawns it really fast again, which is just a very fun interaction. But basically we just went around the room, bait the bikes into the boss, cleave everything, put the oil behind, and all that stuff. There is a healer mechanic called Bon Voyage. It's a heal check mechanic, and it didn't happen that frequent or at all, so we don't really care. But outside of that, there's nothing really special happening on this fight. It's just a control, you do intermissions and you burn the boss, it seemed for us. So yeah, and the boss does die here. And that's basically pretty much all I have to show you about the first boss of this raid on the Heroic. Keep in mind this is PTR, so it could change. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to show you, so I'm gonna dip now, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye bye.